Journalism. We all know it. It's how we get our news. From broadcasts, to radio shows, to newspapers, to magazines, to websites, to news apps, to social media apps, to, well, you get it. That's what makes the field so exciting. There are so many different platforms to use and tools to access that can help journalists get their media out there. There are even multiple artistic mediums that a journalist can use to express their story. We aren't just limited to Google Docs, after all. Journalists can mix the freedom of creative expression into their work at will. Even as something as niche as crochet has been used in countless social justice demonstrations, and has, knitted itself into the news. Get it? Knitted? Anyway, RIT's own Dr. Hinda Mandel is an excellent resource on all things crochet and all things journalism. And her work for RIT regarding the journalism program has completely set our program aside from all others out there. Let's turn to the expert herself.
So, I mean, clearly you have a lot of experience in the journalism field. So what skills would you say make a good journalist?
Persistence, curiosity, loving the hunt, for information, being interested in meeting people and working people. I would say the biggest thing is persistence and time management, probably. Because if you can't meet a deadline, you're totally useless.
I feel like that reputation of like RIT being a tech school, so there's no liberal art programs, like that reputation is starting to die off a little bit. So would you say that like the journalism program is evolving like at RIT?
Oh yeah, I mean we've made really exciting like curriculum updates to make our program unique. Because if you look at, and this is just in the past year, that we've made these curricular changes because we want to stand out as being forward thinking, but also being relevant, and offering courses that are not cookie cutter. We don't want to offer cookie cutter courses, but we want to offer courses that are relevant to young and emerging journalists, and that also have a unique niche that relates to RIT in Rochester. So our new kind of motto at the journalism program is that you're going to do journalistic work, but in service to social change, because that really connects to Rochester's history as a publishing and social reform hub. If you look at the newspaper of Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony, also Gannett was founded here as well. But we don't want to just offer, old boring classes like, news editing, right? Or feature writing. I mean, you can get this everywhere, and you do that work in journalism courses at RIT, but we also want our curriculum to be really fresh and updated.
What advice would you give to an aspiring journalist like myself currently going to RIT?
The advice that I would give is you have to nurture your passion for speaking to people. You have to fortify your ability to not give up and to persist. I would say to surround yourself with like classmates and peers who have that passion and enthusiasm. I would say to meet all sorts of people and to find out what really interests you. Like within the journalism field itself is so diverse. There's so many different types of journalism that one can do. Tech journalism, health journalism, features writing, journalism that is, multimedia focused. So just take advantage of all of the opportunities here, but also think like, what motivates me as a young journalist? How do I kind of fortify myself? what do I need to improve on, and how do I seek out mentors, because that's really important too, and like to nurture relationships with your professors, because we all really, really want to help you and help you all succeed and see you all do well.
Thanks for the helpful tips, Hinda. Now, how about we hear from Colin?
Yeah, Colin was in reporting and writing in the fall. Yeah, he was a terrific student. Yeah.
I'm remembering like it was yesterday. There had been a crime of communication. Somewhere, someone had all the evidence. They knew the skills someone needed to be a good journalist, what a good reporter must do, and things on campus that can assist students who want to learn how to become better writers, and the job opportunities available to them. But I wondered, who could this man be? And then it all made sense. It was Rudy Pugliese.
It sounds like you've done sort of a lot of work, and especially as someone who wasn't a journalism major, what skills do you think makes a good reporter and a good journalist?
I guess this is going to be cliche, I know, but to be able to tell stories. I mean, we refer to coverage of news as stories, even in journalism, although they don't really always take the form of a story. If you look at hard news and the inverted pyramid, that's not really the form of a story. And even if you think of Once Upon a Time, it doesn't really answer any of the 5 W's. So you have to be able to tell a story in a way that's going to hold an audience. And today you have to be able to do it in more than just print, because the newspaper industry it's either dying or reinventing itself. So you have to be able to tell a story in a variety of different media and using a variety of different skills. So the job of a journalist is not just the facts man anymore. There's a lot more to it. And as a result, I think to be a good journalist is to be a much more broadly educated and skilled individual than in the past.
What's the best advice you can give for an aspiring journalist?
Write for a reporter. If you're going to be at RIT, at least work for a reporter and write for them. And I'd also include Sports Zone in there, although that's not a student medium. It's not the student press. It's professionalized. And you will get experience in broadcasting with them as well. Plus, they have positions in advertising, marketing, and there's there's a great many skills you can develop working at Sports Zone and that reporter. Plus, you get paid for both of them. So I would say build a resume, build a CV with what you managed to do while you're working there. It would be kind of like the portfolio that you're required to have. And it will be done, I guess, at a profit, and it will be recorded, and you'll be able to point to the work you've done and not just the courses you've taken. I mean, I think anyone can present a transcript, but to be able to show your work will probably be a better proof that you can do the job of a journalist.
Is there anything else you think it would be super important to add about the journalism major or the school of communication in general?
Well, I think whether you wind up working in journalism or not, to take either a major or to take courses in journalism is very important. I mean, I honestly think journalism ought to be one of the liberal arts, but it's kind of a degree program now. But eventually, I can see other majors wanting to take courses in journalism just so they can learn how to write professionally, how to gather information, how to make a case. Basically, it teaches skills that are applicable to a wide range of careers and other subjects. So like rhetoric, I guess journalism has an intimate relationship with the other professions and the arts, and ought not to be viewed as just a subject that is going to lead to a job only. It leads to a great deal more than that. The skills you learn as a journalist can be applied to a very wide range of phenomena and subjects. So I think you should take journalism courses, even if you're going to major in something else.
After speaking with Rudy, I knew it. It all made sense now. The skills required to be a good journalist, the opportunities available to journalism students at RIT, and the importance of partaking in extracurricular activities and learning communication skills regardless of what you're studying. They were all so important, but even then, I don't think that was the full truth. I was at the bar when it finally hit me. The real journalism was the friends we made along the way.
It's the middle of the night. Why did you call me out here for some wild goose chase?
I've gotten numerous reportings of UFO sightings in the area. I wanted to check it out. What's so special about the Liberal Arts Hall? We need to talk to an insider.
But who?
How about academic advisor Marsha Beatty?
Yeah. You know, we're not a large college, and I think that makes us special because I can get to know you, get to know all my advisees. Whereas in the larger colleges, advisors might have 350 advisees, and they never really meet them. So I think all of us are fortunate to be in liberal arts. So this is where I want to be. Okay, I think the biggest one is how all our degrees have the opportunity for technology-based courses along with the liberal art major, which makes it very marketable. A lot of smaller liberal art colleges don't have that, where you can choose to take a computer class in Golisano, some of your classes in journalism, webpage production 1 and 2, they're computer-based. It just gives us the edge, and those are all things you can write on your resume too, that you've had the technology blend in with your liberal art degree. So being a liberal art major, I think you start to think about citizenship in society, and you get the real world view of what's going on out there, and then you're just a better person for it. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah.
What would our world be without music and art and, all the great authors? And those are all things that we talk about. And right now, politics, boy, that's a big deal with the Ukraine crisis. And you go into any, classroom that's teaching international relations, and I can bet you they're talking about that right now. So it prepares you for the real world, a liberal art degree. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
I want to believe.
Start off with the vitamin of water. XXX. Crack it open. Already smells weird. Step to the side. It's rubbish. It's disgusting. What's pineapple next? Fries tomorrow. So. It's brown. It's gross. It's old. Hot Cheetos next. Smells like death.
I'm absolutely astonished. I don't know how you can mess up all three of these things at once. These are manufactured things. Rubbish. The hot Cheetos, not even hot. Cold, even. Disgusting. The vitamin water, it's warm. It's not even cold. The fridge isn't good. I don't know who cut this pineapple. Whoever did. Straight to hell. I don't know. There's a disconnection here. It's disgusting. The pineapple's brown. It's full of weird liquid at the bottom. And you can tell it's not even fresh. When did they cut it? It's disgusting. If it expires tomorrow, they cut this a week ago. I'm disappointed. People think I'm a mean person. I'm just a food critic. It's just my job. I don't want to be mean. I just tell the truth. The good professor would. Like Tom Dooley.
How do you incorporate your experiences into your classes and the way you teach?
That's a good question. I try to push my students to learn through doing things and try and avoid learning, scenarios where, I'm basically just lecturing. I think that, of course, I have to lecture on certain topics to get background knowledge or to sort of establish, a certain foundation of information. But I try to incorporate lots of project-based learning and lots of, learning by doing, so to speak. I did not go to school for film or video. I learned most of that on the job. And so, my master's is in documentary photography and international photojournalism. So yes, I did, study at that level, but most of what I know has been learned through experience. And so I'm a big believer in that pedagogy and that way of learning. And so that's what I try and incorporate into my classes.
Well, I know that RIT is home to a very large deaf and hard of hearing community. With your time spent here, have you uncovered any opportunities for deaf and hard of hearing people in the field of journalism, or what would you say to people who are deaf and hard of hearing who want to pursue that field of work?
Now, if a student, deaf or hard of hearing student, is interested in going into journalism, I think absolutely there are opportunities and ways to make that happen. I think that probably there are certain types of journalism that may be more sort of accommodating to that. For example, podcasting is like a really prevalent thing now and would be probably a very challenging area of storytelling to work within as a deaf or hard of hearing person. Not impossible, but challenging. But that's not all of journalism, right? I mean, there are plenty of opportunities out there, and work can be done via email, or interviews can be done electronically. That would make interviews more feasible, right? Maybe without the use of an interpreter. Zoom now has, or a lot of Zoom and Teams and all these have live captioning, right? That can make those things a little bit more feasible. So I think there are definitely opportunities, but like with, I think, every industry, there's a long way to go for them to be as inclusive as they need to be. So I think a lot of work needs to be done to make it as kind of an inclusive workplace or inclusive career path as it should be. I am so glad to be part of the school communication faculty. It's an awesome place to be, and I love working with the students and love working with my colleagues.
Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Hailey Fowler, and today we'll be looking for the Gen Z journalist. Now, the Gen Z journalist can be found anywhere between coffee shops and other places in the city, but today we'll be looking for them in the great outdoors. Now, this rare species feeds on a diet of avocado toast and rainbow bagels and can range from anywhere between 15 to 25 years old. Today we'll be looking for it. We're getting close. Now I'm leaving this piece of journalist feminist literature for the journalists to come. Now they can't resist a piece of bait like this. Now we wait. They're approaching. There they are! He's reading the book upside down. Sadly, the journalist got away with my bait, and I'm all out of bait. So I guess I'll have to try my hand at finding one on the internet. My search led me to Caroline Johnson, a recent Cornell graduate who has done work for both the Democrat and Chronicle and the Ithaca Journal. What would you say is like the most rewarding project you've ever worked on?
I feel like every project has been rewarding in its own way, and I can't necessarily like pinpoint one specific thing, but like some highlights. I mean, like even recently with the Black Bakery, I went in and I gave the newspaper to the head chef, who is Miss Lorraine Rashida Sawyer. And she was like, so many people came after the article was published, and there was like a line out the door. I got to meet more people, the sales went up, and she was just really happy about it. And I was like, oh, so there are real life impacts that my writing has within the community. And that's just really fruitful and rewarding to see. And like even there was a 3-generation story that I focused on, three generations of women within one family last summer at Revisiting Rochester Narrative for my fellowship. And it was just really beautiful to see the way that it all came together and how the family was really happy to like see their story out there and like capturing like different chapters of their lives. It's just like getting that feedback. And, you know, sometimes you really have to like work through with people to tell their stories. It's very sensitive topics, but it all, you know, like pays off in the end. All the labor, all like the emotional labor, all of the time, like it's so beautiful to see like the final outcome and to have people's lives memorialized within written format, so that they can go share it with their friends, their family. People can see them on a broader scale. So yeah.
Have you seen like anything drastically change in like the field of journalism just as you've been working?
Well, there are two things that come to my mind. There's more digital stuff that's going on, and like multimedia is something that's really big now. Like I am also an illustrator as well, so I will write, I will illustrate, and also like being able to have like an audio version of a story is really important. Having the visuals, like it's very digitally focused. That's like a big change that I've been seeing recently. And also I think that there is a shift in content that is being highlighted over like time. I think ever since the summer of 2020, I think that newsrooms have been making a conscious effort to try and highlight more stories of Black people, of Indigenous people, of other people of color, and to do it justice and not just like write whatever. Like it's more focused, and there's like a shift to be more culturally sensitive and to hire more people who are from those communities so that they can even better represent the stories that are being told. And I think that I've seen this within my newsrooms within the past like 3 years. And I think that this is something that's on a bigger scale. And I think it's really important because, you know, newspapers are known for being predominantly white and predominantly male. So it's really good to see like more voices being highlighted and, you know, stories being connected and more personal, or at least like there being a more positive backing to the stories that are being told.
Is there any advice that you would want to give to an aspiring journalist who's, you know, like in college right now, like myself?
Oh yeah. Honestly, like my boss has told me this, like perfection is the enemy of good. Like don't, you know, I also need to listen to this myself, but don't get too bogged down in all the logistics and it being like the absolute best thing in the world. Like it just needs to get done to the best of your ability in like the time frame that you have, and it's going to turn out great regardless because it's you and you're putting your hard work into it. And also like if you feel that there is a certain thing that you want to cover and it's not necessarily covered like in mainstream journalism, and other people are like, why are you even focusing on that? There's something in your gut that's telling you that it's the right decision. So follow it and it will be a fruitful outcome. And then other people will hop onto this quote unquote trend. So do what feels good to you and don't let perfection stop you from achieving what you need to or want to.
And with that, my search for the Gen Z journalist has come to an end. Tune in next week as we search for an even shyer species in the wild, the computer science major. Yeah, you know, they do like the walking shot. Are you recording right now? No. I don't believe you. Sorry.
Where are we good?
Maybe take a swig. Hello. Right here is a fate for the